Okay, Shalom, Shalom, Kwam Yasha'Allah, Koholoyim Allah, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rakakodash. Double honors to our apostles, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and that by the Spirit taught us this beautiful truth. Just want to say the water to all the H.I.M and Akwaf that's out here sincerely keeping the laws, the statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai to the best of their ability. Jah Hanan Nawaf, just coming at you with another quick lesson, praying that it's edifying by the Spirit. And wanted to touch on basically being Judaized or Judaism, so to speak. And let me grab this real quick so we can get into it, make it a little more plainer. Esther chapter 8, verse 17. Now, if you're familiar with the story of Esther, you go into her uncle Mordecai, you got this guy, Haman. He wants to annihilate all the Jews basically at the time. Now, this will be, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, or the southern kingdom at that particular time because they were in this particular captivity. And, you might have had some other northern kingdom there as well. But mainly there was a decree that was written by the king from, sneaky ass Haman to have all the Jews eradicated. And the plot goes down. The king finds out, that basically, Haman is on some bullshit, if you go through the story. Very beautiful story. You see, they even have a little flicks about it. They got movies about it. I've seen, of course they're going to portray these movies with so-called white people. That kind of vexes you. But, I have seen pretty decent ones on Esther, on Roku TV, So they have done movies about it. Pretty interesting, And but anyway, there was a decree that went out to eradicate all the Jews. That plan failed. Haman and all his family got killed. On the very gallows that he built for Mordecai to be hung on. And there was a decree that went out from the king, as Mordecai took over. Like I said, you got to go into the story. But the king couldn't change his word because that's how powerful the king's word was. He couldn't even change his own word because he did signature that all the Jews could be eradicated through Haman. But what he did do, there was another law that was, basically written out by Mordecai, which was, the king told him, hey, all right, well, you do your thing. You write out the law, And basically what Mordecai came up with was the Jews being able to protect themselves now. So now these very people that couldn't do anything, that were just subjects in this man's province, that were just, doing their thing, living amongst themselves. Then they knew that they were actually Hebrew Israelites and they were actually keeping their customs and they were able to. The king had no problem with that. He had a whole bunch of provinces, But this decree was written that they could protect themselves. So now all of a sudden you got this people that, haven't ever been able to really protect themselves. And they really didn't, I guess, they was just under subject. They were subjects to this particular king, but, they didn't have problems like that. It was just that they were hated because, of people like Haman, But, they were actually able to protect themselves. So that's just a Cliff Notes, long story short type of deal. You can read through it. But I wanted to get this particular verse right here because some people will look at this verse and say, see, the Lord loves everybody and everybody can be saved. This, and this, right? Because a person could read this and take that if you don't have the complete understanding. This is Esther 8 and 17. It says, and in every province and in every city, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness and feast and a good day. And many of the people of the land became Jews, for the fear of the Jews fell upon them. See that? So it says that many of the people became Jews because the fear of the Jews fell upon them. So you have to look into that and say, well, all right, well, what's being talked about? What's this saying? See, but like I said, you get these Christians, they'll use stuff like this and say, well, see, the Lord, he loves everybody. And this didn't make them equal with the Hebrew Israelites. And that's what I wanted to go off into. And you notice it says, for the fear of the Jews fell upon them. So what does that mean? They basically came underneath. They just took on the, you know what I'm saying? They was basically scared as shit. Like, we gonna do what y'all say to do. We don't want no smoke with y'all after we seen what y'all done to them other people. We don't want no parts of that. And it's the same way with, like, say, like America with the so-called blacks. You know what I'm saying? When we went into slavery, basically here in the Americas, when the so-called white man with feather and tar, one of the biggest so-called black men, a mandingo, or they'll tie him to a horse and to two horses and hit the horses and make the horse rip them apart, and they seeing damn guts and legs flying. The people was like, we don't want no smoke. Niggas is like, no, you massa. We gonna listen to you. So basically, so that's pretty much, how you can go into the Hellenization stage of the Greeks. That's another lesson, going into the New Testament where it talks about neither Jews nor Greeks, but those Greeks were Israelites that were Hellenized. And they were Hellenized because of fear of seeing their people being tortured. They like, nah, I don't want no parts of that shit. And this is the same situation right here. So now let's go off into it. Let's get the word Jew in this particular situation right here, right? You have to imagine this. You have to imagine you getting slaughtered to the point where you like, fuck that. I don't want no parts of that there, buddy. Now see, when you look right here, it says, you got up here, you have Yahweh right here. H3064 is because it says the Jews had. They have it in a phrase, right? So now it's not the same as when you get right here to where it talks about they became Jews, right? Let me see here. Salakia. Became Jews. 3054 is Yahad. So you got 3054 and you got 3064, right? So now let's go into H3064 where it says the Jews. It just says Jew, right? Let's go off into this H3060 Judah. See? Praise. And that's and the word Jew is really just short for Judah. But the southern kingdom was known as Judah, which was basically Benjamin, Levi, and Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Salakia. So now let's go back. Let's get this one for the other one though. Check this out. Where it says became Jews, 3054, Yahad. To become a Jew, in fact, or in fraud, become Judaized. That's what happened to them. They basically become Judaized. Let me see if they have a let's see if they gotta define it in Google. Judaized. Make Jewish, convert to Judaism. So basically they converted into being Jews because they wanted no smoke. They didn't want their asses kicked. They didn't want to die like how they saw their people dying. And it's the same thing with like how, like I said, the Israelites were, were Hellenized by the Greeks. They became Greeks. They became damn Grecians. Because when you go into the New Testament and you look up the word Grecian, matter of fact, let's just do it. It's just an example. Let's go into the let's look up the word Grecian in the New Testament, right? And what you're gonna see is basically gonna say Hellenized Jew. Let me see your Salakia. Okay, so you have it in Acts right here, right? Acts 6:1. And in those days, when the number of the disciples was multiplied, there arose a murmuring of the Grecians against the Hebrews, because their widows were neglected in the daily ministration. So this is after, these are some Greeks. They're Hebrew Israelites, but they were Hellenized, and they was living like Greeks, speaking Greek, had the customs of Greeks, but they were Israelites. But they find out now, okay, we're Israelites. Look, we're coming back to our custom. Now check this out. We're coming back to our custom, right? Now you go into this word Grecian in this particular chapter in the Greek. Watch what it says. Unless, blue letter than got. See, it's Helleniste. G1675. Watch what it says. A Hellenist. One who imitates the manners and customs or the worship of Greeks and use the Greek tongue. And that's what our people was doing. used in the New Testament of Jews born in foreign lands and speaking Greek. These were Jews. So when you see Greek, neither Greek nor Jew in the scriptures, what that's going off into is those were Israelites that were Hellenized, that spoke the Greek language. They kept the Greek customs. They ate the Greek foods. They wore clothes like Greeks. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't circumcising the kids. They probably had tattoos, weird ass hairdos, all kind, you know what I'm saying? Long ass hair down the back, whatever the case may have been. But they were living like Greeks, but they were actually Israelites. It's almost like a Negro and being in America, but he got cousins that live in Germany. Are they still the same people? Because the continent doesn't make a person. There's plenty of people with relatives out of town. It's like this one, for example, this lady with the earthquake over in Japan. It's a so-called black lady here. She's searching for her so-called black son that went over there to go do studies. He went to school over there, on some college shit. So he's a so-called black man, but because he's in Japan, does that make him a Japanese? No, he's just a Negro that's in another continent. You see? But let's go back. Let's get back to the lesson. Let's go back to the where we was. Let's go back to Esther, Salakia. And I just pulled a few precepts on that. But you see, being Judaized is basically those people converted to our laws, our customs. They started, and this is what's going to happen in the future. This is what's going to happen in the kingdom. They're not going to be on no level with the Israelites. The apostle was just going into that. Apostle Tahar, he was just going into that in a live lesson just a few minutes ago before I came out here to do this lesson. He was going off into a lot of, you know what I'm saying? I think he entitled it, E Know Who He Is. But see, these Edomites, mainly it's them right now. And you got a lot of Jake trying to fight for Edom to be on the same level as them in the kingdom, and that's not going to be the case. They're going to be Judaized. They're going to be basically Judaism because they're going to keep our laws, statutes, and commandments like how we keep theirs in their continents and in their countries and in their cities and in their counties and all these different things, right? Because in America, we got to go by their laws. Wherever we are, the so-called white man is running the show. We have to live by their laws. You see what I'm saying? We have a law that say that, alphabet society or alphabet living is punishable by, deletion. No, not in his kingdom. In his kingdom, he says, no, it's okay. And he gives them rights. And if you go against what he's talking about, then what does he do? You do anything to one of these alphabet people, you going into his jail system because those are his laws. And that's the way it's going to be in our kingdom, right? Well, let's go back. Let's get this again. So I just wanted to just, make a little base before we get into it, which is not going to be a long lesson. It was just that I found it to be interesting, because I was studying earlier and I came across this scripture and I actually had it highlighted in my Bible. And I'm like, you know what? And it went along with somewhat of what Apostle Tahar was talking about. But let's get it again. It says, and in every province. Let's read it in the NLT. Let's see how it reads over here in the New Living Translation. In every province and city, wherever the king's decreed arrived, the Jews rejoiced and had a great celebration and declared a public festival and holiday. And many of the people of the land became Jews themselves, for they feared what the Jews might do to them. See? They feared them. Because they was getting down in this thing, man. Now, matter of fact, let's go to chapter 9 here real quick. It says it's entitled, "The Jews Destroy Their Enemies." Verse 1. Now in the 12th month, that is the month Adar. As a matter of fact, over here in the NLT, they have March 7th. Esau, he's off with his dates and times anyway, but they just had this whack-ass idolatrous Janus New Year. You know what I'm saying? The god of Janus, the god, whatever, man. Idolatry. Anyway, it says now, see, they're not going to be able to do this stuff in our kingdom. It's not going to be no fucking month of January when the Lord comes back. Ain't going to be none of his months. Ain't going to be none of his days of the week, man. We gonna make everything righteous again. And they're gonna follow it. Why? Because they're gonna be scared of us. It says, now in the 12th month, that is the month Adar, on the 13th day of the same, when the king's commandment and his decree drew near to be put in execution, and the day that the enemies of the Jews hoped to have power over them. See, it says the enemy of the Jews. They were our enemies. And after they got their asses whooped, they had to become somewhat of some, well, not friends, but they had to bow. It's that simple. They had to bow. It says, in the day that the enemies of the Jews hoped to have power over them. See, they wanted to have power over us. So when we whooped their ass, we took over and we had power over them. And that's what's coming in the kingdom. It says, though it was turned to the contrary, that the Jews had ruled over them that hated them. See? The Jews gathered themselves together in their cities throughout all the provinces of King Ahasuerus to lay hand on such as sought their hurt. And no man could withstand them, for the fear of them fell upon all people. See? This is what's coming in the kingdom, man. This is what's going to happen when the Lord comes. So all that everybody can be saved, the Lord loves everybody equally, the Lord is coming back to get us out of the hands of our enemies, right? That's why when you go into Luke, it explains it, man. And Luke, I say it all the time. If you want to know why the Lord is really coming, just go to Luke chapter 1. And I'm going to get straight to the point. Let's get down to verse 68. It's going to be the same situation, man, all over again. These people are ruling over us right now. And they're going to continue to rule until an ass kicking goes down. And when the Lord comes through to give them that royal ass kicking, they're going to be like, hey, we don't want no more smoke. What y'all say to do, we going to do. What y'all want us to go cut wood? Y'all want us to go draw the water? Y'all want us to go and build this, do that, do this? At what time? You want us to jump? How high, man? That's how it's going to be. Because that's the way that they've had us for the past couple of 100 years, man. And Jake don't want that. If Massa can't be saved, it's aggravating as hell talking to some of our people, man, when we be out on the highways and byways. Jake don't want it. It says, Luke 1 and 68. Let me start there. Let me start at 67. And it's entitled Zechariah's Prophecy. And this is John the Baptist's father. And his father, Zacharias, was filled with the Holy Ghost and prophesied, saying, Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, for he hath visited and redeemed his people. Right? He's visited and redeemed his people, Israel, man. And hath raised up an horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David. You already know how David was doing. If you go into the history of David and what David was doing to the heathen, they asses were being put to work and wasn't no play with them, man. Wasn't nobody no damn heathen in David's court, man, or around him advising him and no, they asses was being put to work. Same thing with King Solomon. And the same thing is coming in the future. It says, and hath raised up an horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David, as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began, that we should be saved from our enemies. See that? That's the point that I wanted to make. And from the hand of all that hate us. These nations are our enemies and they hate us. And it's not just one nation, it's all the nations. And Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, is the main nation, though. He's the main enemy. It says to perform the mercy promised to our fathers. So the Lord, hey, we need that mercy that was promised to our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Because Esau is not merciful. And the scriptures talks about he's not going to receive any mercy because he hasn't been merciful. This man has been treacherous to us, man. All these nations have been treacherous towards us as a people. Then you got Jake out here want to save and hold hands with these. Man, fuck them, bro. They've had their chances to rule. They've had their legacies. So what about us? Think about yourself for a sec, man. It says, the oath which he sware unto our father Abraham, that he would grant unto us And Abraham is our forefather. The promise was given from him to Isaac, to his son Jacob. His sons Jacob was named to Israel, which is Yasharallah in the Hebrew tongue, our forefathers. He had 12 sons, which are our forefathers. And we all descend from one of those sons. You so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You are the Hebrew Israelites. These people have been so treacherous to us. They won't even, at least back in Esther day, we knew who we was. We was allowed to, live amongst ourselves and, in our communities. We just paid tribute. We paid our taxes and abided by their laws. But in this kingdom, here they go. They calling you a color out of a goddamn crayon box. You're black, you're Hispanic, you're Native American, you're African American, you're Haitian, you're Jamaican, you're all these different fucking names. And they know you the Hebrew Israelites. Don't think that these world leaders, man, these world leaders, they go to the top schools in the world to be educated. And they know exactly who's in captivity and who they have in captivity, man. Don't think that they don't know that, especially the elite of them. Come on, bro. It says that he would grant unto us that we, being delivered out of the hands of our enemies, might serve him without fear. There you go. We're going to be taken out of the hands of our enemies so we can serve the Lord without fear, man. We're going to be joyous. This is going to be another celebration. It's going to be similar to this right here. This is actually kind of like a representation. The holiday is called Purim. And see, you got them people over there in the land. They be trying to, fake, celebrate it. And they treat it like it's Halloween or some shit. Anyway, let's go back into it. Let's get Psalms real quick. I only had a few precepts on this. I know it's going a little bit longer than I thought it would, but hey, all by the Spirit. Psalms 18 and 23. Oh, is that what I wanted? No, that's not what I wanted. Deuteronomy. Let's go to Deuteronomy. Just to show. This is Deuteronomy chapter 2. Verse 25. I'm going to start right here at verse 24. Rise ye up, take your journey, and pass over the river Arnon. Behold, I have given into thine hand Sihon, the Amorite king of Heshbon, and his land. Begin to possess it, and contend with him in battle. This day will I begin to put the dread of thee and the fear of thee upon the nations that are under the whole heaven, who shall hear report of thee and shall tremble and be in anguish because of thee. And this is what happened in the days of Esther, man. When those people seen the ass whoopings that was going down, they seen the arms being cut off, legs being, because that was a brutal war, man. It was some brutal shit going on back, back that hand-to-hand combat back then was something brutal. So those people was like, hey, we want to be Jews. We gonna do whatever you say, master. We don't want no smoke with you. So that's why it says that even they became Jews, which means that they became Judaized. They became, what they would call Judaism. And also, the apostle, he was going off into talking about John Hyrcanus, how Edomites were being converted into Judaism, basically, because they got their asses whooped in the Maccabees. So the history is there that when we was in rulership, I mean, that's just common sense. That's wherever you go. That's just like right now, for example, with those Israelis, which we know they're not the people, that's over there in Gaza. You know what I'm saying? Doing what they're doing. Gaza trying to, those Palestinians trying to put up a fight. But overall, I mean, they don't have no might. So when you don't have no might, you have to go with the flow. You got to go with what the people that have the might want you to do. They're in control of their water, their electricity, their gas. So what do you think they're going to do? You got the Hamish ones, supposedly that's, fighting back. But those regular citizens, they pretty much like, man, look, we don't want no smoke. We just want to just live. We want to eat. Just let us just chill. Okay, y'all got it. And that's what's going to happen, man, when we go into power, man. But let me get one more precept, Deuteronomy chapter 11. And there's plenty of these precepts, man. 25. Let me see, maybe I should. Start at verse 20. Let me see here. Start at verse 20. Start at verse 22. Because this is very important right here. And, this is how Jake really fell off, man. Verse 22, it says, "For if ye shall diligently keep all these commandments, which I command you to do them, to love the Lord Yahweh your God, to walk in all his ways and cleave unto him, then will Yahweh drive out all these nations from before you, and ye shall possess greater nations and mightier than yourselves." See? Every place whereon the soles of your feet shall tread shall be yours, from the wilderness and Lebanon, from the river Euphrates, even unto the uttermost sea shall your coast be. Right? Verse 25, the point. "There shall no man be able to stand before you, for the Lord Yahweh your God shall lay the fear of you and the dread of you upon all the land that ye shall tread upon, as he hath said unto you." And like I said again, this is what's going to happen, man, when the kingdom comes again, man. These people are going to have so much dread that they're basically, they're just going to fold. They're going to be like, "Hey, look, man, y'all got it, man. Y'all got it." And the scriptures, it goes further than that, because there's going to be some of these rebellious fuckers that's not going to want to get down, but they going to, that rod, man, the Lord, we going to get them, we going to hit them over the head seriously. They going to know that they have no power nor no might in their hands to stand against us. And eventually, they just going to stand down and fold and bow. Lick up the dust of our feet, so to speak, man. They don't have no choice. They're not going to be able to stand against Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, man. They're not going to be able to stand against the men of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai when we get those new bodies and those powers, man. You see? As a matter of fact, the scriptures talked about what they say, let us go up to, let me see here. Matter of fact, if you go off and back off into, let me see here. Let's go back off into Esther real quick. See what kind of precepts was on that particular verse. You cross-reference that particular verse, Esther 8 and 17, right? Let's see what all they have. Well, yeah, I did want Psalms 18. It was Psalms 18 and 43 is what I wanted. I thought I wrote that down. Yep, it says, "Thou hast delivered me from the striving of the people, and thou hast made me the head of the heathen. A people whom I have not known shall serve me." That's coming. We're going to be the heads of the heathen, man. We're praying that we're part of the hopeful elect, of course. Oh, this is dope right here, too. Zechariah 8 and 20. "Thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, it shall yet come to pass that there shall come people, and the inhabitants of many cities, and the inhabitants of one city shall go to another, saying, Let us go speedily to pray before the Lord, and to seek the Lord of hosts. I will go also. Yea, many people and strong nations shall come to seek the Lord of hosts in Jerusalem, and pray before the Lord. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, in those days it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold out of all languages of the nations, even shall take hold of the skirt of him that is a Jew, saying, We will go with you, for we have heard that God is with you. See that? They gonna know that the Lord is with us. They gonna know. And it's all kinds of accounts. You got this one right here. Let's go into this real quick. Genesis 35. Let me start up some. So like, let's see. Let me just get to the point. Verse 5. Genesis 35 and 5. It says, and they journeyed, and the terror of Yahweh was upon the cities that were round about them, and they did not pursue after the sons of Jacob. Why didn't they pursue? Because, hey, the Lord, a lot, when, matter of fact, when the Lord done Pharaoh, like how he done Pharaoh, him and his swordsmen and his chariots, and how they got drowned in the Red Sea, all those plagues, and how the firstborns was killed. And man, look, that dread went upon all the land. That shit was heard everywhere. People knew. That's why when you go off into Rahab, it says that, you know, she even said that the men of her city, their hearts melted, roughly paraphrasing, because of the fear of what they heard Yahweh had done for us, man. This is Exodus 15 and 16. It says, fear and dread shall fall upon them by the greatness of thine arm. They shall be as still as a stone till thy people pass over. O Yahweh, till the people pass over, which thou hast purchased. See? You're going to be still as a stone. Your ass not going to move. You better play statue, buddy. Okay, we got those. Yep, we got all the rest of these precepts that was in there, but yeah, I just wanted to just touch on this, man. I didn't want to keep the lesson long. I just thought this to be interesting. It's a beautiful, beautiful story. It gives you hope. It gives us, it builds you up, man. It built me up, you know. I mean, you know, you should be geeked about stuff like this, man, because this right here is a perfect example of what's being talked about, you know, in certain areas of the scriptures where, you know, these Christians get it wrong, that they're going to be, these heathen are going to be on the same level as the Israelites. They're not going to be on the same level of the Israelites. They're going to be in the kingdom, but they're going to be underneath the Israelites, taking orders from the Israelites. We've served them. Isn't it right that, I mean, you know, that you know, they serve us? Like, goddamn, I mean, we done served all these nations. All these nations have been built up and got filthy, wealthy off the backs of the Israelites, and we haven't been paid shit for it, man. Nothing for it. And we're still in captivity paying goddamn taxes. You think like, damn, you know, they'd at least want to provide us with better food, better water, you know, better living conditions. They still got Jake living out in the shack, man. These little houses that Jake be having, man, and, you know, they cut the grass and try and manicure it and shit, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, throw a few pictures on the wall. They got a nice little furniture set. Man, them shits is shacks, bro, compared to what we're going to have in the kingdom, man. I mean, these motherfuckers is not even fit to park a car in, really. They're like garages, man. Here you go. The so-called white man, he's in a fucking house. I could drive probably 10 miles away from here, maybe about 10 miles out. Not even that far, really. And go into some of these communities where even the Arabs, even Ishmael is in this bitch living good, man, where I can fit my house in their house like 6 times. Their garage is bigger than my house. Literally. They have garages like 2 times the size of our house, man. They out here living deliciously off the backs of the Israelites, man. And here you go, you want to just share your kingdom with them. They don't want to share with you. Anyway, I'm gonna end out there, man. You know, I mean, you can touch up on Esther. It's a beautiful story. I might have to go back through it again myself. You know what I'm saying? It's a lucky if I miss some points. You know, because it's been a while since I have read it, but, you know, I was just giving kind of cleft notes of the you know, the book. But go into it and read it, man, and you'll see that, hey, beautiful story. And the enemy, the same way that they're digging a pit, they dug a pit for us. They're gonna fall into that pit. The same way that Haman built those gallows to hang our forefather Mordecai. That shit is gonna happen to them. They're gonna be hung on the same gallows. What's that? Live by the sword, die by the sword. Hey, Esau about to get that business out here, man. And it's not gonna be that long. So, just hang on, continue on praying, continue on fasting, because we're most definitely in a year where things are nasty, getting nasty already, man. Just a few days in, the rumors of wars have picked up. Earthquakes have picked up. The violence has picked up, and we already know, it's about to get rough out here, man. So, like I said again, but this is the reward that's coming. This is what we're fighting for. So continue fighting, man. So with that, I want to say, Kwam Yashala, Shalom.